Hi everybody, this is Dee at Aloha Astro. We're looking at a new moon in the mutable water sign of Pisces today on February 27th, 2025, and it occurs at 9 degrees 41 minutes, the time 7:45 p.m. Eastern Time. Let's take a look at the forecast for the energy that will be with us as a result of this lunation for about the next 2 weeks. New moon in Pisces, Thursday, February 27th, activates existential seeking in an attempt to find meaning, a sense of belonging, and peace in the midst of uncertainty as the moon joins the sun in Pisces, and together they form a trine aspect to Mars in Cancer and a square aspect to Jupiter in Gemini, while Mars in a water sign associated with home, family, and psychological foundations is also trine to Saturn, Mercury, the North Node, and Neptune, all in Pisces, a water sign concerned with intuition, spirituality, the collective consciousness, places of retreat and healing, and all that is. A minor grand trine involving the Pisces planets, Uranus in Taurus, and Pluto in Aquarius, as well as a sextile aspect between Jupiter in Gemini and Venus in Aries, indicates anything is possible, but not everything is probable at this new moon. Preparing yourself emotionally for stretches of the imagination, which can change your perspective, and tests of faith, which will reveal the truth of who you are and why you are here, will increase your resilience as well as clarify your vision and plans for the future. It is a challenge to be in the world but not of it, while Mars in Cancer, squaring Venus in Aries, is reminding you that although you are an individual, the needs of yourself and others are interwoven, and whatever impacts one affects all. Focus on improving the health of all your relationships to ease the anxiety and existential angst these uncertain times are generating. Expand your consciousness through spiritual study, artistic pursuits, and time spent in nature. Begin a daily practice of quiet time, prayer, or meditation to cultivate strength, serenity, and inner security. So let's take a look at the planets as they are right now. And you can see this very busy lineup of Pisces energy. The moon and the sun are loosely conjunct Saturn. There's a little bit of a gap between them there, but they are approaching as we go over the next 2 days. The moon will move forward toward Pisces energy with Saturn, Mercury, the North Node, and Neptune all being activated by the moon as it passes through the higher degrees. Then we have some Aries energy with both Venus and Chiron, also about 10 degrees apart. They are basically resonating there, but it's a loose conjunction, just as the moon and the sun today are, of course, tightly conjunct each other, but loosely conjunct the rest of the Pisces energy. Uranus is in Taurus still, Jupiter, Gemini, Mars no longer in retrograde. That shifted around the 24th, I believe, of this month. And that is now in forward motion in Cancer, regaining some of its lost ground during the retrograde time period. Pluto in Aquarius, very well aspected, and I think it really helps to focus on the power of that planet and how it represents transformation, upheaval, resurrection, crisis, intensity, control, power, either disempowerment or empowerment, as well as fear. But you'll notice that there are no challenging aspects to that planet. In some ways, when all you see are those happy blue lines, the trines and the sextiles, things come easily, or they are taken for granted, or the natural energy, talent, characteristics are not going to just show up and happen. You have to consciously direct that energy and use it to get the goodness of a trine or sextile to manifest. And when we have those squares and the oppositions between planets, they are felt as the pressure and the activation to actually do something. So sometimes what traditional astrology would consider to be a challenging aspect is actually the motivation or the thing that makes you do something. Whereas those easygoing aspects definitely show open doors, support, talent, but you have to basically set your intention, put the energy of that planet into motion, and focus on the qualities of the planet and the sign that they are in. The power is right now in the people. It's definitely a time of change, which can be unsettling, and there's a lot that does not seem fair or right or logical. And a lot of people are in shock or fear or feeling quite unhappy and uncomfortable, which we can see in the squares going on with the disillusion that can come through the two mutable signs being square to each other here, the Pisces and Gemini energy, and the fear and the pain coming through the square between Mars and Cancer and that Venus and Chiron in Aries. Perhaps this is a wake-up call for humanity as a whole, that the power is going to come from everybody joining together and expressing their power in numbers. The organizational ability of the fixed signs is what makes the fixed signs particularly strong, in that they can be stubborn, they can organize, and they like to take things from start to finish. So once things actually get moving, there can be good follow through with both Uranus and Taurus, and Uranus is the ruling planet of Aquarius, and Pluto in Aquarius. So we have strong Uranian energy going on, Aquarius and Uranus vibe happening, which does focus on the larger group or organization, humanity as a whole, groups within society. And that all points toward the combination of all these Pisces planets. Some of these will be shifting over into Aries, particularly slower moving Neptune and Saturn are going to make a shift over. And we're going to have a quickening occurring as we go through March, April, May. But before we get to that changeover where they join each other, both Saturn and Neptune joining up in Aries in the third week of May, which can signal a new start, hopefully in a more favorable direction, even if sacrifices need to be made. But before we get to that, we have to get through Mercury retrograde and Venus retrograde, and they will be joining up and retrograding together for a window of time. We have Mercury going retrograde on the 15th of March. We have Venus going retrograde the 1st, the 2nd of March, and we have them come out of retrograde. Mercury goes direct on April the 7th. Venus goes direct on April the 13th. So between March 15th and April the 7th, both those planets are retrograde. And I do think that things are going to look worse before they look better. Then once those two planets come out of retrograde, it's going to take a little bit of time for them to be moving forward into Aries. Venus will be back into Aries on May the 1st. Mercury is going to re-enter Aries on the 16th of April. It's almost like anything begun at the beginning of March here is going to reset, or it's going to lose its momentum, or we're unclear about what really needs to happen, or which direction we're going in, or what we even want. And then when we start seeing that Mercury and Venus getting back to Aries energy by the beginning of May, there's going to be greater clarity. Hang tight. Definitely use the springtime energy and the initiating energy of a new moon to look at what you physically, materially possess right now, and perhaps release things that you no longer need. And definitely on the emotional and spiritual level as well. I think it's Zig Ziglar who said that you can't afford the luxury of a negative thought. And that doesn't mean don't deal with reality, but it also means don't dwell on what's negative. Place your attention upon what you want to see, and place your attention on doing things that are going to move you forward toward what you desire, rather than freezing, sitting still, deer in the headlights, and not doing anything, or indulging in escapism or denial. Let's take a look at the Sabian symbol and what we have happening there. So we round up to 10 degrees Pisces. An aviator pursues his journey, flying through ground-obscuring clouds. Keynote, man's ability to develop powers and skills which, by transcending natural limitations, allow him to operate in mental, spiritual realms. This symbol, in a sense, synthesizes the implications of the 4 preceding ones: the dedication to the community of men, present and future, self-assertion, and the ambition to reach a social goal. Man is seen mastering difficulties implied in a type of operation, transcending his organic limitations and the narrow boundaries of a localized living space. He does so as an individual in command of powerful energies, but also as heir to the industry of countless innovators and managers. This is the last symbol of the 68th fivefold sequence of evolving stages of consciousness and human activity. It evokes the achievement of mastery. Well, basically that all makes sense, and it definitely seems to go in line with present conditions in the world and in society and in the United States. Energy is moving. There are things that we cannot fully see. Definitely with the strong Pisces energy, tuning in intuitively or flying blind, basically, as we move forward, is what we're required to do. But we do have support from planet Uranus, planet Neptune, planet Mars. So actions being taken through the collective and the gathering and organizing of people within society to determine how needs are met. Both Taurus and Cancer are very concerned with needs. And if people are not able to live comfortably and have their needs met in the near future, then we will be pushing toward revolution within society, particularly when we see Mars leave Cancer and enter Leo, while we have more Aries energy kicking up some dust and turning the heat up on issues. I do think we need to go through the hard time in order to decide to do something about it. And that the Mercury and Venus retrograde time period in March and April is a time period to take stock of everything, to sort through things, to determine what is essential on all levels: physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, so that you are prepared for whatever output of energy is required as we go further into April and then into May. It's a big year. Many of the outer planets are changing signs. We ended 2024 with Pluto shifting out of Capricorn for the last time and beginning its 19-year journey through Aquarius. We are going to have Saturn and Neptune enter Aries. They will do some retrograding back into Pisces before they are fully moving ahead in Aries in 2026. Uranus is also going to make a shift. It's going to be moving into Gemini in July, and I believe it's in June when we have Jupiter leaving Gemini and moving into Cancer. All these outer planets are going to do a bit of backsliding back into the signs they're in now, and then they move forward again. And as we go into 2026, these energies that we've been used to, we're going to have new ones to replace them. And they are going to be, I believe, much more direct and determined toward making things happen and establishing form and structure that does take care of people and their needs. And it may come down to individuals within society having to join together and create their own organizational structure outside of government to help take care of others who need help. So consider your talents and abilities and how you can best be of service in the next year or two, and also to minimize the actual amount of need that you have, to think about what is most important and eliminate the things that are not important to you. All right, take care. Do stay safe until the next video, which will be in 2 weeks when we're going to be looking at a full moon.